And so,
as we wrap here, San Francisco's continues to devolve, revenue down 40% in terms of taxes. Budget is double what it's been just a few years ago. Crime is going crazy. Walmart is closing their stores and leaving because of Walgreens. I'm sorry, Walgreens. We don't have a Walmart here. And there's more homes on the market now than there have been.
Too much of anything is a bad thing. If you eat too much broccoli, it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? So too much of a single party monoculture is bad, whether it's Republican or Democrat. You need a diverse, centrist plurality. And in the absence of that, many cities that veer in one direction or the other will decay and die. And San Francisco is going to be the tip of the spear for the left's version. And there's been a bunch of cities that have already been the examples of the right's version. So you know what? Apparently the water is warm and they want to join.
Anybody else? Friedberg?
I can't find a lot to disagree with there. I think San Francisco, we're basically in Atlas Shrugged. I mean, half the storefronts are closed. They're boarded up. The city is completely surrendered to the criminal element. You can't park your car anywhere in the city without having it getting broken into. They won't prosecute people for crimes, including increasingly violent crimes. The city is about to go bankrupt, and the entrepreneurs are all disappearing. They're all leaving. I mean, it's right out of Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, I mean, it's the action is the wrong action, right? So San Francisco, the biggest disappointment of election night for me was the new business taxes that were passed for San Francisco businesses, and there was also this for 99.9999999% of people, they're going to shrug and say, I don't give a shit. But there was this new tax of 6% for homes that get sold over $10 million. Now, if you're a successful entrepreneur, an investor, or a CEO of a company in San Francisco, and it's like a slap in the face, you add the business tax with that kind of high-end property tax, and it's almost like an invitation to leave the city. And some people are nodding their head and saying that's
this
exactly
6% is on leaving or buying?
Transaction when you sell. So you literally 6% off the top when you sell a home.
The city basically just took 6% of my house.
Tax. Yeah.
The city just took 6% of my house.
It's an estate tax.
They're now a part owner of my house.
Yeah, it's an estate tax. And so there are people in San Francisco who we all know.
How much warning did you have before they took your bedroom?
Yeah, I mean, there's a London Breed put some people in Sacks' 13th bedroom on the 3rd floor, and they're all living there right now. But I mean,
it's okay. I got like wings I don't even know about. Yeah, it's like totally. It's like Richie Rich's house or something. No, but nobody cries. Nobody cries for super rich people, and
But it was short-sighted, is the point, right?
Right, exactly. I'm not complaining about the taxes on me, but it's going to do tremendous damage to the city. People are not going to want to move here. I've built businesses in San Francisco since 2006, and I will not build another business in San Francisco. And I hear the same from other entrepreneurs. If you're going to build a business, do it in the South Bay, do it in the East Bay, do it in the North Bay, or do it in Austin or LA or somewhere else. But this is just not a place to build businesses. The city is basically saying, we don't want you here. Now, that would be fine and dandy if the city was being conservative in the way that they spend, and if they were actually reducing their budget and kind of reducing the city's activities. The problem is these taxes diverge with the budget, because the taxes are now going to go down because businesses are leaving, people are selling their homes, they're not going to buy expensive homes anymore, and we are seeing a budget crisis. San Francisco, I think, is looking at a $1.7 to $2 billion budget shortfall this year. I mean, where's that money going to come from? This is a city with 800,000 residents. And there was that expose in the San Francisco Chronicle talking about how there's over 20,000 city workers making over $150,000 a year.
30,000, yeah.
Yeah, what are we getting for all of that? The evidence is not apparent. And this is where, look, I'd be happy to give the city 6% of my house and pay all these high taxes if we actually got something for it. But the city just keeps getting less and less livable.
Yes. City budget in 2013 was $7 billion.
We have a fiscal crisis. We have a fiscal crisis, and we have a livability crisis that I think is even worse. And And that's a huge problem. And let's be frank, San Francisco was always the accidental beneficiary of Silicon Valley. If you will, San Francisco was the accidental billionaire. It was Silicon Valley that created this enormous wealth and all the jobs and the companies. It wasn't San Francisco policies or politics that created any of that. It just so happens that Silicon Valley got big enough. It started around Stanford. It got big enough that San Francisco, as the nearest metropolitan area, really was a beneficiary of that. And because they never really did anything to create the conditions for that prosperity, frankly, they took it for granted. And now that the rug's been pulled out from under them, I don't think they're really going to know what to do.
Local San Francisco politicians treated Silicon Valley success as a grab bag. And Uber set up here, and Twitter and Square and Salesforce, and San Francisco politicians put their hand in the honey jar and took as much as they could. And it's now backfiring because new businesses don't want to set up here. Entrepreneurs don't want to operate here. And as Sacks is pointing out, the rapid kind of inflation has caused this tremendous decline in the quality of service. There's zero accountability, zero checks and balances. So San Francisco is in for a really frank, scary reckoning. And a lot of people are really worried about it. And it's like a very real problem. It's not like, oh, the city's fucked. Like a $2 billion budget shortfall. You're either going to have to cut a lot of jobs of public employees, or you're going to have a city that's going to go bankrupt, and bonds are going to get defaulted on. And at the same time, you're going to have this mass exodus of people and businesses. And it is a very kind of unwinding knot right now. So it's a scary moment. I don't think there's a real great answer for what to do. It's more nuanced, but
I think it will happen. Mark my words, San Francisco will file for bankruptcy in the next 10 years.
Wow.
I mean, Pelosi held out.
A major city filing for bankruptcy.
maybe 15 years, but yeah, 15 years.
Remember, a big part of what Pelosi held out on, the big thing she held out on in the stimulus negotiations last month, was for local and state governments to get bailout support in this stimulus package. And she's acutely aware. She lives one block away from me down the road here. She's acutely aware of what's going on in San Francisco. And the solution may not be to bail out these cities and these states if they're going to continue to operate the way they are, because it's...
So the state needs to break in order to rebuild.
Well, you need to cut budget. I mean, any of us running a business know, if you have little revenue coming in and you're spending too much, where the fuck's the money coming from? You can't just keep going to Big Papa in DC and asking him for more money.
What about Masayoshi-san? Maybe he consider coming in and
or maybe a SPAC. Maybe
can we do a second?
Fine.
I'm going to SPAC San Francisco. Fuck it.
Right.
I'd be
Can Masayoshi-san do the secondary and then we SPAC San Francisco?
Listen, I think Chamath is right about San Francisco being the proof of what happens when you have a one-party system, and I really hope that the tech community, the tech liberals who are listening to this podcast, they're not going to listen to me because they probably, think I'm too conservative. But, Chamath is pretty liberal, and, he makes the right point. And, we cannot have a one party system that remains healthy for very long. We need the pendulum to swing back towards the center. And, I really hope that,
power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, as you've said many times.
Yeah,
and it's true.
Lord Acton said that.
This is literally what the Dark Knight Batman series is about. It's literally about not having a basic standard of policing and allowing criminals to run a city. We've turned into a goddamn comic book. You have to arrest people who commit crimes. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but
and one of the things that's
beat people up.
Yeah, you're right. And one of the things that's like the comic book is the sense of fatalism. It's like everybody knows San Francisco is broken, but nobody thinks they can do anything about it. That's really the tragedy of it.
That is the tragedy. And you know what? If any of us, I've said it before, I'm like, I know exactly how you can stop all these car break-ins. There's a thing called a bait car. You put 10 bait cars out, you put cameras in them.
And now that Einstein has spoken, boys, I love you.
I love you all. I miss you all. I can't wait to see you again. And for those of you who'd like to advertise on All In Podcast, The advertising rate has been set at $10 million a year for however many episodes we do. I will read the ad at the end of the show if you give $10 million to the charity of Chamath's picking, which apparently is going to be San Francisco. I think that'll balance 0.7% of the budget. Follow Friedberg on the Twitter. Follow David Sacks. Follow Chamath Palihapitiya. If you like the show, tell your friends and write a review, or don't. We don't care. We just do this because we like hanging out with each other. We'll see you all. Oh, and if you want to be a guest on the show, we don't accept any guest recommendations. For the love of God, stop asking. I mean, I don't know how many people are begging to be on the show. There's room enough for 4 people, maybe on a live show, bestie guesties. You're not getting your CEO of your whatever company on the show. Period. End of story. And I cannot introduce you to Chamath to SPAC your company. Enough of that.
Love you, besties.